Okay, guys, this is a video. This is my cameraman. Say hello.
Hello.
Oh, wait, there you go. Say hello. He doesn't like to wear a shirt for some reason. This is a video on how to use the garter bar. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, look at the machine. So I just did a couple rows in a simple waste yarn to show you how it works. Each segment holds about 50 stitches, and if you're doing 50 or less, it's easy. Is that 50? 100 stitches. I cast on 180 stitches. So when you get 2 garter bars, hold on a second. And you put them together like this, it becomes a little bit more difficult to transfer stitches because there's torque here, which makes it hard to pick up the stitches. When you're doing stitches, this bump that faces you is always when you're taking them off, and then when you put them back on, you flip it around and the groove should be away from you. And that's the only way you can really transfer them. So the way I do my stitches is I use the garter bar and I pull up all the stitches. Then I push them all back on the needle so they're beyond the hook, behind the hooks. When you get over 100 stitches, this thing is crucial, your whatever it's called, blocker. And you put it in here so that the needles can't move at all. It's catching the needle and then it fits between the end of the bed and the yarn. Oops, I missed one. Move it over one. So there's one. Here's 2. So now the needles can't retract at all. Then I put this on the edge. I usually start with this number 1 on the first needle and catch all my needles. Okay, they're all on there. And this is where, if I'm holding this part tight to catch the stitches, this part's gonna come off a little bit. And so I'm gonna hold this tight to begin and slide the needles over like this. And now I'm gonna reach underneath with my hand. And you see, if you don't flip the latches, sometimes the needles split like this. Thank you, good camera work. So I'm actually going to, I usually do this, when I have this many needles, I'm gonna take a credit card and close all the needles, which is gonna help to keep the yarn from splitting. Oops, I can't close those because that's not on it. There we go. Got on there, baby. There we go. I'll leave that open for now. Okay, so with my hand, I'm transferring over all the needles like this. And because now the needles are closed, it does make it much easier to transfer. And tilting it up like this helps also too. Once you get to the break, these needles you don't have to worry about anymore. They're over, so this can come off a little bit. And I want to make sure all of these are on now on this half of the garter bar. So, going back to my credit card, closing all these needles to help it transfer easily, reaching underneath. And you notice I'm moving like 10 or 20 at a time with my hand. And if you go in order, they all move over. Now I'm going to push all of these open again as best I can and lift this off. I could have done this earlier. We're going over here. I'm going to take the yarn out of the carriage. I'm going to flip this around. Now I want you to see where I move them with my hand. If you're looking right here, some of these are higher and some are lower. It'll make it very difficult to transfer. You can see it on this side too. There's a gap here, can you see? And then the other ones are flush. So make sure they're all flush all the way at the bottom. Otherwise you won't be able to transfer them easily. So pull all my stitches flush, and that's from my hand pulling them in different segments. Now they're all flush. And I'm going to make sure all of these are flat. Again, I can use a credit card and just really lay it flat this time on the needles and make sure all the hooks are as open as possible. Now I'm going to actually take off my weights. I don't think I really need them anymore. And I'm going to transfer the stitches. So catching the first stitch here, and you're catching it here underneath the stitch. Right here in this little gap. You want it to be below the stitch, not above the stitch. Catch them all here. And then you can kind of feel they're gonna catch. Wow, you're doing a great job, cameraman. And then before I pull it off, I'm gonna, see, like, come over close. You can see these ones caught well and these ones didn't catch at all. So I'm gonna take it off. Again, make sure they're all down as low as they can go, all the stitches. Okay, start again with my first stitch. And it's kind of good, what I've realized is, if I kind of put my hands in the middle of both garter bars, see if I can catch them this time, tilting it toward the needles. Nope, I missed some again. So maybe it's because I took the weight off. Oh well, we're gonna do it with the weight off. Maybe I'll just use my hands on the outside. Here and here. Okay, you can see that these are all caught all the way along. And then you can even like pull it away a little bit and look really closely and see that they're all caught. And then I'm going to lower out the garter bar. I'm going to use the garter bar to push the stitches back. It's always good, now you can take these off because we're going to knit them. And if you're all concerned about stitches jumping, leave these needles all the way out. It really ensures they're not going to jump. If I have any concerns about that, I can put on a little more weight. I'm going to to make it easy, if I would normally be switching colors here, but I'm going to just move this over to this end. Stick with the same color garter, and then this is going to go in the carriage. Make sure you close the carriage, come back. And there's my first row of garter stitch. I can see the needles are lying nicely. They're not rolling up at all. There's my second row of garter stitch. I added an extra stitch. I'm going to take that off because this is just a, okay, we're going to do it again. I like to use the garter bar. It's easy. Torque all the stitches. See? Up. Use my garter bar. Push all the stitches back so they're behind the needles. Put this in place. Put this in place. I can see I'm looking, all the needles are open. Turn this around, bump is to the front, open the feeder, take the yarn out. Line the first needle up here. Again, here we can be up toward the tips. Catch it. Here we go. It doesn't have to be. I don't know why I just like to do it that way. So maybe it lets me, it's like a marker for me. Come on. Oh, I see where. Also, when you're using, I think these are two different garter bars from different kits too, so that's not really helping my cause. Yeah, I think one of these, okay. So now again, I'm holding them all nice and tight, and using this also helps to cut down on the torque of the stitches. Starting on this side, you go in order, pulling the stitches forward, reaching underneath. This time I'm not so worried about it. They seem to be transferring pretty nicely. I'm also moving my hand down the garter bar to keep the tension more even, and oh, no split so far, fingers crossed. Boom, 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 boop. Okay, now I'm going to push all the needle heads, latches back. Take this off. You can see some of them are raised again. I'm going to lower the ones that got raised down. Flip it around. Make sure all the needles are open. Catch below the yarn in that little groove. I'm gonna actually move my hands to more the center of each garter bar. I can feel that didn't work already. So some of these are up, pull them all back down. They will not work for me, if you don't have them all down at the bottom of the bases. It's just hard for them to be grabbed evenly. Okay, try again. Answer in the middle. I usually go a little smoother with this. I think the filming is making me more nervous. Okay, catch. Okay, I can see they're all caught. A couple here are a little bit funky, so I can use this tool and just make sure they're fully on, fully on. The stitches are split a little bit, so making sure they're all on there. Oopsie daisy. There we go. Okay, pulling it away a little bit. Taking it down. They're all on. Oh, I missed a couple over here. I could pick them up, but I'm not going to worry about it because this is just a demo. Doing that. Putting this down. Removing these. Move my carriage back over here. Make sure it's caught properly. Come here, baby. There we go. Okay, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to take off my weights. I'm going to cut the yarn from the feeder. Tuck that in. Pull that out. Come here. And that's how you do it. Where you get a ridge, can you see? You get a ridge of the garter stitch in the middle of the stockinette. Thank you for watching.